Hello and welcome to the Rotary eClub of Silicon Valley's program for this week. Every week we bring to you a program about education, innovation, technology, humanitarian service. This week we have a very exciting program about mini grants by one of our own club members and treasurer, Alan Thompson. But before we introduce Alan, I'd like to introduce some of our callers on the program. Right below me, is one of our newest members, Kenneth Oku. He goes by Kenny. Kenny is currently a student studying electrical engineering and computer science at Ohlone College in Fremont, California. And next to Kenny, we have Yvonne Kwan. Yvonne is one of our charter members and also board members now, and she's an educator. She's going back to school for her master's program, a teaching credential at San Jose State University. And I'm Mitty Chang. I'm the president of this club. I'm really proud to be president of this club. I'm a web designer by trade. And next to me, I'd like to introduce our program speaker for this week, and that is Alan Thompson. Alan has been a charter member of our club, has been club treasurer for since we chartered for about a year and a half now, and he's also been part of Rotary for over 12 years now. Alan was part of the Rotary eClub of the Southwest before he joined our Rotary eClub, and he was also part of the Rotary Club of South Bakersfield. I believe I got that right, before that club. Alan is a building contractor by trade, and he lives in Bakersfield. Alan, please take it away.
Thank you, Mitty. And thanks for your introduction. And thank you for asking me to help our members better understand the mini grant program. But before we get into that, I want to take advantage of having the mic by introducing myself a little bit. One of the issues we always have to deal with in an e-club is that we don't all live in the same place, and we don't all get together and, get to know each other very well. And so, for those that live in the Bay Area, they do have that advantage, and I'm happy for them, but Bakersfield is a long ways away, and we have members in Japan and Utah and South Africa, and, well, none of them know me, that's for sure. I'm 63 years old. I was born in Calgary, Alberta, but did most of my growing up in Billings, Montana. Except for 4 years of my early childhood, I was in Caracas, Venezuela, and I do speak Spanish, which is really good for a building contractor in Southern California. So, but I'm getting a little ahead of myself. I graduated from the University of Montana in Missoula with a degree in marketing and spent a couple of years trying to find out what would be a good path for me, and found an opportunity to go to work for a building contractor in Bakersfield, California, which at the time I had no idea where Bakersfield was. They asked me if I wanted a job in Bakersfield, and I said, okay, Bakersfield, what? And I've been here since 1983. After a couple of years working for building contractors, I got my own license and took on the world, and that's what I've been doing ever since. My wife, Patty, is a second grade teacher, and she's starting her 26th year as a teacher. She and I have 3 grown children. Michael is a science teacher in high school. He just started this year. Stephanie's an office manager for a dental surgeon. She lives in San Diego, and Sam is looking for a new opportunity. So that's the brief bio. Now let's talk about mini grants. By now, most of you should have noticed the mini grant announcement in our meetings, that we have $250 mini grants available. So the problem is that it hasn't generated any takers. So we need to maybe explain what it is and why it is and how we do it. I want to encourage each of our members to try to get a mini grant going. It's not as hard as you think. Okay, there's an explanation of the mini grant program that we had posted in the meetings, and I'm going to try to get Mitty to start putting it back into the meetings. It's just a link, and you go there and it tells you how you go about it. The instructions are fairly easy to follow, self-explanatory, and there's a link at the bottom that takes you to the application for the mini grant, which is really easy to fill out. But that's all the easy part. All of that stuff is easy. Reading instructions and filling out an application is easy. The problem is, where do you start? And that's an obstacle for most people. Where do you start? I mean, you got to come up with an idea, and part of the program is that you have to have another organization to pitch in as much money as we're pitching in, a partner organization. It's part of our mini grant program to, you know, double our impact by getting another Rotary club, or maybe a Kiwanis club, or, you know, the local quilting bee, or some other organization to pitch in as much money as we are. We only pitch in up to $250, so if we wanted to get a maximum grant for somebody, that other organization would have to pitch in $250 as well. If they could only come up with 200, we would only come up with 200. So that's fairly basic to the program. So where do you find a good idea for a mini grant? Well, I wrote a few things down. Your child's school is having a fundraiser to buy library books or to buy new playground equipment. That's a great one. Or you hear about an NGO that spends all of its energy raising funds and awareness to provide books for children in the mountains of central Mexico. I happen to know about an organization like that. It's called Project Amigo, projectamigo.org. A local group that works with developmentally disabled people is fundraising to get a special potter's wheel that will be wheelchair accessible. Or you hear about a group that's raising funds to buy mass quantities of basic food to send to orphanages in North Korea. That's pretty far-fetched, but it's been done. So there's a million good ideas. There's just a few special requirements, and I've already touched on one of them, and that is that we need another organization to pitch in as much money as we pitch in. But that organization can't be the one that's getting the money. You have to have a third organization that's getting the money. So if we were going to donate $250 to your child's parent-teacher organization at school to put new playground equipment in, you know, they may have a $10,000 budget, but our 250 plus somebody else's 250, that's a pretty big chunk that we could help them out with. But if we're gonna give $250 to that parent-teacher organization, they can't pitch their own $250 in and say that they're going to match our $250. No, we got to find yet another group like a Kiwanis or Rotary or somebody that's going to match our money to give, so that the parent-teacher organization ends up with $500 more. Or like I say, however much they can come up with, that's how much we'll come up with. So how do you find those? I mean, you can come up with ideas like that, but how do you find those groups that are looking for money? And the solution is really a lot easier than you might think it is. The solution is, who do you know? Do you ever go to lunch with somebody, or your coworkers at work? Do they, you have lunch with them and talk about things? Ask them. Ask them if they know about some group that's raising money for some cause. And it might be a cause you can get behind. It might be something you'd like to help get the money for. And, you know, there's, you may not know another Rotarian, but that person may know another Rotarian. Or once you have the idea in hand, you might ask somebody else, you know, some other acquaintance might know somebody who is in an organization that could have enough money to help us put this grant together, help us get the money to the parent-teacher organization, if that's what you're going to do. It's all about just talking to people that you already know, and that's really the gist of it. Now, a couple of those ideas that I mentioned have already been done, and I want to show you a couple of them. This is the one that I did 3 years ago when I was a member of the Rotary eClub of the Southwest. It was called the DPRK Topple Hunger Campaign, and you'll see the Rotaract symbol on the header there. In fact, it's even bigger than the Rotary symbol because they were actually the lead group in this. It was the Rotaract Club of Shanghai that was in charge of this program, and it was really kind of complicated how it was all put together. But the way I got involved with it was that we had this mini grant program that, just like now, not too many people were taking advantage of it. So I just happened to stop by my friend Frank's house one day, and he invited me in for a beer and asked me what was going on. And I said, well, you know, Frank, we've got this program in my Rotary Club. Now, he's a Rotarian too, so he was interested. And I said, I need to find some cause that could use $500 of ours, and then I'll have to find somebody else to pitch in another $500. And he looked at me and he said, well, yeah, I do know of the program. He said, there's a lot of orphans in North Korea that need food. And so that was the idea, and he got his club to pitch in $500, and I learned a lot about North Korea and North Korean orphanages. I think we all pretty much know that North Koreans suffer a lot. They don't have a strong economy. Food is a problem. And orphans are really at the bottom of the list. So if anybody is not going to be well fed, it's probably going to be orphans. So this program, we put together our $1,000 along with, let's see, this paper, we wrote in there what it was. There were several different foundations that were involved with putting this all together. It was somewhere around a $20,000 budget. We bought container loads of rice and soybeans and shipped them into North Korea. North Korea is referred to as the Democratic People's Republic of Korea. Most of the world refers to North Korea as the DPRK. So that's why you'll see DPRK mentioned in this document. And they just got bags and bags of rice. And supposedly these are pictures of happy orphans. But that's one program that we put together over there. And let me see if I can get another one. And this was one of the other ideas I mentioned, which seemed a little strange, probably when I mentioned it, a pottery wheel for the developmentally disabled. This is a grant put together by one of our other members now, who was one of our other members at the Rotary eClub of the Southwest at the time of this grant. This was done by Keith Marsh, who lives in Marin County. The idea being that developmentally disabled people needed a potter's wheel, and he wanted us to help them get one. And so this was the program that he put together for after the potter's wheel was acquired, and told about how much benefit it was and how they benefited from it. These projects are really what's the right word? They really make you feel proud to have done them, even if it's just playground equipment for the local kids. They're really good. They're really good to do, and they're not nearly as much work as you might think they are. So that's about it for mini grants. There is one other requirement other than having another sponsoring organization to pitch in as much money as we have, and having an idea of some place to send the money, you need to do a program, something like what we're doing right now, to explain about where the money went and what benefit it was, and that's not nearly as hard as you might think it is either, after all. So that's what I have about mini grants. Any questions?
Yay.
Awesome. Nice job.
Sorry, I don't have the applause queued up.
Okay, it's okay. We'll generate the own applause. Yay, good job, Alan. Awesome.
Yay.
So this is our Q&A period. So if you guys have questions, go ahead and turn on your video. You can wave your hand at me, or there's actually a raise hand button in Zoom, so do that. I'll start off the questions. So great presentation, Alan. Maybe you could go ahead and walk us through really briefly, just step by step, how the application would work out and who actually views the application for our club. I'm sure that's one of the main things some of our members might be wondering right now. And I can't hear you right now, Alan.
I don't have the application queued up, nor do I have the explanation sheet queued up. So, and I thought I did. So the application itself is a Google form. It's a fill in the blanks form. As I said, it's really not very hard to fill out. I'm pretty sure it goes to our service projects chair, Andrew Topp, who reviews it. And does he have a committee?
Yeah, so Andrew does have a service committee in a grants subcommittee or a committee. I'm not sure if it's a full committee. But Andrew would be the one who would kind of be the point person reviewing it. And I'm not 100% sure, but I believe the board also reviews it, if I'm correct. And we'll have below this video, we'll have, of course, members and guests will have the links to those forms, the Google Forms, as well as the Google Doc. So you can take a look at that. Even if you're not a member, you're welcome to take a look at how the application looks like and maybe consider reaching out to a member if you have a project in mind.
That is one point that we should make in this video, that this program really is to be initiated by one of our own eClub members, but that doesn't mean a Rotarian guest couldn't become involved with it. Doesn't mean a Rotarian guest couldn't contact one of our members and say, hey, I've got a great idea for a mini grant. And I'd be proud to be involved with it if you would sponsor it for me so you could get it going. That'd be a great idea.
Yeah, definitely. Kenny, do you have a question?
I didn't have a question. I thought that Al did a great job presenting. I just wanted to kind of recap what I gained from it. Basically, you know, if I have an idea and I partner with another Rotarian or Kiwanis club, we have a good idea. We bring it to Andrew, or you know, we work together. We bring it up, and then I think that together we'll get the paperwork done, and we'll move the project forward and get the matching $250 to the person that we'd like to give them to. Does that sound pretty accurate?
That sounds pretty good, and it's about that simple too. It's okay. It's really not a complicated process, and if anybody wants to get into it and runs into any kind of a roadblock, that person should immediately contact Andrew. Welcome to contact me. I mean, I did one time, and Keith has done one time. We're great sources of information, I suppose. Be glad to help anybody figure out how to get through it. But it really is simple, and it really can be easy.
Awesome. That's really great to hear.
Awesome. Yvonne, I see your hand up.
Yeah. So I was wondering, Alan, can you give us an idea of the timeline for the application process? So let's say someone submits an application. How quickly will they hear back from Andrew or the board about whether or not their application is approved?
Well, I wish Andrew was here to answer that question. It really shouldn't take very long. You know, if I was Andrew, I would look at the application and I would judge whether or not it was properly done, fit all of the criteria, made sure that there was actually another organization specified that was, I mean, just look at all the details and make sure it measured up. And then he would forward it on to his committee members and ask them, what do you think? Does this look like a good project? And give them a couple of days. And after that, he could bring it back to the board for a final okay. And I would think that, you know, a couple of weeks, it might be put together. But as I say, I wish Andrew was here to answer that question.
And of course, if you guys want to ask Andrew the question, you can do so in the comments at the bottom of this meeting. He'll be checking that. You can also reach him at service@siliconvalleyrotary.com.
Yes.
And Alan, not so much a question, but a comment, and I recall this from the Rotary eClub of the Southwest. One of the most interesting things we did a mini grant for was the Signing Santa program. And I don't know if you addressed that because I was late to the party, but I thought that was very interesting, where they found people who could do sign language, and they did the night before Christmas dressed as Santa to children who had hearing deficiency. It was fascinating.
How many ideas are there out there? There's a million of them. There's a million good ideas.
Yeah. It's a great one.
Yeah.
So we know there are a lot of great ideas out there. You've mentioned a few of them as examples, Alan. I'm wondering if you could give us some examples of bad ideas that would probably not be approved.
Oh, I'm not prepared for that.
We don't want to think about bad ideas.
I don't know. Our club emphasis is what is it? Education, innovation, and entrepreneurship. So I suppose ideally we would want our grants to fit with that within those categories, but they're pretty broad. We would not want to allocate $250 to a party. That's not what our mini grants are for. I don't know. I wish I had a better answer for you.
That was towards the direction of what I was thinking about. So yeah, parties. Sometimes conferences can also be a big question mark. Usually not necessarily what I think the main goal of the mini grants are for, but depends on what kind of conference it is. But allocation for maybe like food, things like that would not probably be ideal. But service projects are great ideas, which you've mentioned a lot of them. So I'm sure a lot of people can come up with some great ideas. Perfect. Well, Alan, we are just about out of time for questions. I'm going to turn it to you for some closing comments, and then I'll wrap up the meeting.
Well, all I can say is just to reiterate that the mini grant program is really a lot easier to access than you might think it is. The funds are available to give to some worthy cause, and they're available now. Help is available to put a project together, and I hope that we get several mini grants going very soon.
Awesome. Yay. There's the applause. Awesome. Thank you so much, Alan. Our speaker this week again has been Alan Thompson, treasurer of our club, charter member, Rotarian for over 12 years now. Members, please do as Alan said and take a look at our mini grant program and send in an application. We'd love to help fund and give some seed money to some of your service project ideas and some of your project ideas. And for the guests and maybe visiting Rotarians who are watching, if you're interested in getting some funding for your project, reach out to some of our members or leave a comment at the bottom of this meeting below, and maybe one of our members will reach out to you and be interested in doing some kind of partnership. I saw Kenny point to himself. And right below this video will be some relevant links directly to the application, as well as information about the step-by-step process. Thank you for joining us for our program this week at the Rotary eClub of Silicon Valley. We hope to see you next week. Take care now. Bye.